I am almost out of thread again, and I was just thinking about all the cones of thread that I have used in the past and how, if there's something I could have done with those empty cones over 19 years of long arm quilting. You experience the same thing, I have no doubt, but I was wondering, how is that thread made? I mean, how does it get on the cone? How is it? I would really like to know that. And I have a friend that I met that works at American and Efert Thread Manufacturing Company in North Carolina. Her name's Marcy Breyer, and I thought maybe I should just give her a call and see if we, you and I, could visit her and see how that thread really is made. Wouldn't that be fun? So I think I should do that. Let's go. North Carolina. We're at the American and Efert facilities, which is the state-of-the-art thread manufacturer, and we're going to see how that thread is made from the very beginning to the very end. I am so excited. Let's take a look. Well, I'm inside the facility now, and I'm going to meet my friend Marcy Breyer from American and Efert. So looks like I need to sign in.
I'm here.
There's Marcy. All right. Hi.
So good to see you.
Nice to see you. I'm glad to be here in North Carolina. It's beautiful here.
And we've been really looking forward to this tour for you.
Oh, we want to see thread from the beginning to the end.
And we're ready to show it to you.
Okay.
All you'll need to do is wear this on your stay.
I can't wait. Now we have the official badge and we're ready to go.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay. I found the thread cabinets. More than 1,000 colors. Can you imagine having that many colors at your disposal? Awesome. Look at this bell. 500-pound bell makes approximately 2,000 of these cones of thread. That is so exciting.
That's amazing.
Wow. The first operation is opening or extracting the fibers from the cotton bells. About 70 bells are lined up and a huge machine floats back and forth over the top of them, raking off and vacuuming up about 1 centimeter of the staple fibers from the dense bells, introducing them into the system. It was so cool to watch. It is all done with air, like a vacuum. This is the first cleaning process, and the low-grade short fibers, which are less than 1/2 inch, classified as dirty cotton, that come off during this process are baled and sold off to be used in mops and mattresses and other industries. About 25% of the bale is recycled or unusable. Through a glass window, I could see the fibers being transported through large pipes over to another building next door. We then moved to the next building where the floors were all beautiful hardwood. The cotton is moved to this building through large piping and into a machine that opens the fibers or separates them. From there, they are moved to the card machines that align the fibers. The fibers are funneled into drawing machines that draw the fibers into a web and then into what is called a sliver form that is about the circumference of a quarter. They are coiled into large color-coded canisters. It reminded me of cake decorating, coiling the frosting to make a design. Next, the canisters are moved and slivers are reintroduced 5 at a time and drawn down or stretched again. This process is repeated many times, which increases the length each time. 5 slivers at a time are processed into a flat form and rolled onto a core. The roll is now run through a combing machine to make sure the fibers are parallel, and it again comes out as a single sliver, silky smooth. There's a dramatic difference between the slivers at the beginning compared to those after the combing. They are very soft to the touch. Feels like velvet. Soft. This product is then taken to the roving machine and drafted down to the size of a pencil lead and spun onto roving bobbins. It is now beginning to look more like thread, sort of like string. Now the bobbins are taken to a ring spinning frame. The fiber is then drafted down to the final size and is ring spun. This is where the single twist is introduced to the yarn. The spinning bobbins are then introduced to the winding machines, where several of the spinning bobbins are pieced together onto a larger winding to make them strong. The ends are spliced together by an air splice method. It's fascinating. From there it goes to a doubling process. This process doubles the thread and also adds the 2-for-1 twist to the thread, which is normally a Z-twist, and winds the thread onto a dye tube. This product is now referred to as gray yarn. From this point, the yarn is boxed and moved to the dyeing plant. Oh, wow! Whoa! Now you quilters know how much lint we produce quilting. Can you imagine what it would be like in a thread manufacturing plant? Not so in this plant. Robotic vacuums constantly vacuum up the lint. Talk about clean. One of my favorite parts of the tour was the testing lab of the spinning plant, where samples of the cotton in various stages are tested. It was very interesting, and I am so impressed with the quality control that goes into making this cotton thread. The visual test is done by rolling the thread onto a large drum and then comparing it to the quality charts. When asked where the test usually landed, the manager said, "We make sure we are always in grade A." A quick look at the computer allows the manager to check to make sure each process is within specifications. All the raw materials used are also randomly tested to make sure they are up to the highest standards. I couldn't believe it when they told me that every A&E plant in the world has access to another plant's quality control reports, and all use the same specifications. Impressive. We are at the American and Efert dyeing and finishing plant, and Marcy has a box full of thread to finish, so let's go inside and see what happens. In the dyeing plant, the cases of gray yarn are stored until the dyeing is scheduled. Now the yarn is moved to the dyeing operation, where it is removed from the box and placed onto the dyeing platform. The platform consists of tubes that are loaded with the yarn. These platforms are designed to allow the dye to travel multi-directions through the thread to ensure complete dye penetration. This plant uses about 1 million gallons of water every day. They treat the water before and after use. Then the water is returned to the municipality for further treatment and use. The dyeing process is a highly technical process of applying the correct dyes at the right temperature for the right amount of time. Each color has a recipe all its own. The recipes are developed in a computerized lab with special testing equipment. That's my color! Yeah! Now the thread is dried in a drying vat. When the thread is removed from the drying vat, it is taken to the finishing and winding area. This is the control room for the entire plant operations. Here is where they do all the scheduling for the many dyeing vats and all materials needed, so everything runs smoothly with no downtime. The plant runs 24 hours a day, so the logistics can be very complex. The dye lab was awesome. This is where we also learned that different light sources can affect the color that you see. That makes perfect sense to me. What an eye-opener. Oftentimes I've chosen thread to use on my quilt, and after it was applied, it looked like a completely different color than the one I chose. There are special light boxes that introduce the different kinds of light. You can see the effects that light has on color. It was unbelievable. In the winding area, the thread is removed from the dye tubes, placed on a winding machine, lubricated, and wound onto cones. Look, here is our thread going through this process. The lubrication is a vital part of how the thread performs in the sewing process because it passes through the eye of the needle so many times before it is sewn into the fabric. If a break occurs, then an air splicing process is applied to splice the thread together. This splice is quite strong. I know how irritating it can be when you're sewing along and the thread runs out because of a break. This air splice process prevents that from happening. We asked the worker to slow down for our filming, and she said, "I've worked here for many years, and this is the first time anyone has ever told me to slow down." How fun! These machines cross-wind the thread onto the cone, so when the thread is spooled off the cone, it does not add additional twist to the thread. It is all so scientific. Finally, the cone of thread is now ready for the packaging and labeling process. A sleeve is applied, then run through heat to shrink it onto the cone. Perfect! The cone is labeled, which is required by law, and barcoded. The label has very important information: the batch number, date, thread size, type, and color, to name a few. This information is stored in a computer, and wherever this thread goes, like the warehouse or to a distributor, it can be tracked. From this number, the actual process the thread went through can be evaluated at any time. The same specifications to process this thread are used in all the A&E plants around the world. Now that's impressive. The box of thread is labeled, then moved by a conveyor to the box sealing process. As part of the ongoing tracking process, the label is scanned into the computer. From here, the box of thread is sealed and sent to the distribution warehouse system. Marcy, it has been such a wonderful day. Seeing the thread from the very beginning to the very final product was just wonderful. Thank you so much for making this available to us.
So Linda, how was this experience compared to what you envisioned it would be?
Well, you know, I have an imagination, and I really thought that what I saw was way more than I ever envisioned. The amount of thread that is being done all the time, 24 hours a day, and you don't just have a building or a warehouse, you have campuses of the different facilities. I mean, I'm just blown away with the quality and everything that goes into the product. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to go home and do that quilt with that thread that I got at the factory. It's going to be really fun.
Well, it's so wonderful that you could be here to experience all this, and that all of your viewers could experience it with you.
I think they feel the same. So, thank you again.
Thank you.